Mr. Anuar, and also please welcome our fellow speakers, our panelists, to come up to the stage for the next session. Sir, over to you.
Very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for making it back from lunch. I was in Hall 11 as well with everyone else, and it was quite a spread as well. I'm delighted to be here to welcome and introduce the panel discussion on building a sustainable AI ecosystem to drive Malaysia's AI economy. It's an exciting time for AI and its potential to reshape industries, drive economic growth, and create societal benefits, which is something we will look forward to. Studies have shown the tremendous potential contribution of AI to the economy. This morning, the Prime Minister spoke about McKinsey study. AI would contribute about 25 trillion per year to global GDP, and that generative AI has the potential to generate 2.6 trillion to 4.4 trillion in value across industries. PwC also indicated that AI could contribute up to 15.7 trillion to the global economy in 2030. In the AI maturity matrix, BCG has listed Malaysia as a steady contender, showing that Malaysia's economy has good exposure to AI and the readiness to handle AI disruption. Findings by the Malaysia Center for 4IR, hosted by My Digital Corporation, with partnership with Access Partnership and Microsoft, has shown that generative AI can unlock up to USD 113.4 billion in value for Malaysia, or essentially more than a quarter of GDP in 2022. So today we will explore how we can build a robust AI ecosystem that not only supports the AI economy, but also ensures long-term sustainability and inclusivity. I'm delighted to have my fellow male panelists today. So to my immediate left, Mr. Laurence, Managing Director of Microsoft Malaysia, Associate Professor Dr. Lau Sher Han, CEO of Accio Technologies, Encik Azhar Kasim Mustapha, CEO of Nervesis, and Encik Muhammad Nazrol Marzuke, VP and Regulatory of Group Corporate for Telecom Malaysia, for TM. I'd like to welcome everyone. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
So today we will explore how we can build a robust AI ecosystem that not only supports the AI economy, but also ensures long-term sustainability and inclusivity. I'd like to start with Laurence.
Yes.
Yeah. Could you please introduce yourself first?
I'll introduce myself.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. My name is Laurence. I'm the Managing Director for Microsoft Malaysia, and good to be here, yes.
Doctor?
Hi, good afternoon. I run an AI company called Accio Technologies. We help companies to turn data into models and find insights that you can't find with human labor.
Accio, by the way, is, if you're a Harry Potter fan, that's how it's spelled. Nazrol?
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nazrol, the Vice President Regulatory of Telecom Malaysia. Happy to be here.
Azhar?
Hello, my name is Azhar, and I'm the CEO of Nervesis and Berhad. We built Ziggy AI platform. Ziggy tailors AI assistant like ChatGPT to your business, and that's it.
So that's the sole representation from the industry, well, also Microsoft as well. With all the things that we have in mind today, we'll be talking about three key areas. The first will drive into the AI economy and its impact, what drives it, how AI can contribute to both economic and societal benefits. Second, we'll explore the AI ecosystem, discussing the essential elements and best practices for building a world-class AI infrastructure. And finally, we'll focus on building resilient AI ecosystems, examining the role of public-private partnerships and the importance of investing in the AI value chain and technology stack to ensure a thriving and sustainable AI economy. So we'll start with Laurence. From Microsoft's perspective, can you please share how do you see the evolution to the AI economy and how AI economy impacts Malaysia?
Oh, we are going straight to the question now, right? Yeah, sure. So from Microsoft perspective, I think there are three imperatives that I think is important when it comes to drive AI adoption. I think the first one, right, I think it's important to look at, I think every organization need to consider is what we consider the AI first policy as well, right? I think that's important, right? And when it comes to the AI first policy, what we notice is that, well, there's if you look at the survey that we did, what trend in that survey that we just did recently on linking globally as well, right? You realize that almost 84% of Malaysians is already using AI today, right? What interestingly is that a majority of them are actually what we call bring your own AI to work as well, right? And then less than 50% of the organization has AI initiative as well. Right? So there is a gap there, right? So if you really want to take into this whole AI adoption, I think it's important that organizations start to really consider AI first policy right from day one as well, right? Otherwise, you're going to create a gap, and that gap is going to create a lot of other issues around security, data governance, and so on as well, right? I think that's important. The second part is to drive the whole adoption is really around AI skill fluency as well, right? I think this morning we announced in front of the Prime Minister that we're going to invest in Malaysia. We just announced this AI from My Future or Malaysia Future, where we're going to equip 800,000 Malaysian in AI skill by 2025. So I think that's a very important initiative. I think the key thing about that skilling is to make sure that we are increasing AI fluency, not just among the professional, but really to make sure they cut across the whole spectrums of the society as well, right? From the professionals all the way to the underprivileged and marginalized, and of course we must include the professionals and students and so on and so on. But we have to make sure that it's something that is inclusive to the whole segment of the society as well, right? So I think that's a big initiative as well, and it's not something that we can do alone. We have to make sure that we are in partnership with National AI Office, with MDEC, right? And of course with the Ministry of Digital, and in addition also with the civil society, the university, and so on and so on. I think that's important. The last one is, I think that's equally important, is the whole responsible AI framework as well, right? So when we talk about the three imperative, the responsible AI framework is important as well. I think that's something that we work very closely, with Ministry of Digital too, right? And around, policy around AI safety. I think that's important. And the later policy around the cyber security as well, right? When we talk about AI, responsible AI, we always make sure that we cover the 6 core areas, right? The fairness, the transparency, right? The safety, the data privacy, and sustainability, and so on as well, right? And we want to make sure when it comes to any AI initiative that we are driving, whether at a national level, organization level, that all these 3 core imperatives are being considered as well, right? Now and then are mutually exclusive. Now and then should come in a sequential order. You have to make sure that they are right from day one, something you will consider as well, yeah.
Thank you. I'll move to Dr. Lau.
Sure.
Could you elaborate on the potential for AI to fuel Malaysia's economy? What sectors do you think or do you believe would experience the greatest transformation? And how does your organization is able to support this?
I think speaking from the experience of the companies that we have held, the more traditional they are, the more they can benefit from artificial intelligence. For example, like constructions, legal, those are very heavy paperwork driven, and there are a lot of things that you need to cross-check and a lot of compliance needed. I think these are where AI can really shine and help them to reduce a lot of repetitions and a lot of the processes. Now, in terms of specific industries, I think number one, even looking at the Malaysia economic structure, the one that will benefit the most is actually retail. Because retail, there are a lot of things like, for example, checking your stocks. You need to make use of computer vision technologies to help you to take the pictures and identify what are the items there. And it can go as big as a warehouse or as small as food stores or fruit stores that people use it to identify what are the rotten fruits and do some predictive analytics. Then as big as that and as small as that. And the second one I think is actually agriculture as well. So we do have a lot of those plant owner, plantation owners, those farmers, they want to scale up their business, but they don't know how to in the past. And also in the past, these sort of technologies are not so accessible. It's not as easy like log into a website, take a pictures, tell me whether this plant is sick or not, or whether this whatever durian, rambutans, they are all healthy or not. So these are some of the key areas that I think AI technologies can be applied straight away and help these people to see significant ROI. I think just now when we were waiting in the waiting room, we talked about a lot on how to justify and calculate the ROI. That one is actually the key. So building on our own expertise, like how to collect data, how to analyze data, a lot of companies, they don't, they probably notice, they are aware that they have some data because MDEC has been doing a good job in promoting BDA, big data analytics in the past few years. They are not that totally illiterate. They know that they have data, and because of GST and also e-invoice, they're somewhat prepared. But how do they actually turn their data into something that can be monetized? And in today's world, they need to know how to use those data to build a model that you can use in your industry. So I think that's where we come in. Most of the companies, they don't really need big models. They don't really need full-scale LLMs. But if they can pick up, they can work with us, give us some of their data, we help them to train smaller language models, SLMs, or some agentic AI applications. I think that would be wonderful, and that's where we help them.
Thank you. We move on to one of the bigger tech giant. Cik Nazrol, since you're next in line, how does the growth of AI impact the telecommunications industry? And what are TM's strategies to capitalize on the opportunities within the AI economy?
All right. Oh, okay. Thanks for the questions, though. As everyone is aware, AI was invented to solve a problem, to be tool to being productive of the ecosystem. We look at the TM perspective, I'm speaking on behalf of the telecommunication industry as well, we do cherish and recognize the power of AI. We do recognize those to revolutionize our telecommunication industry. And how do we approach it is basically we do have a multifaceted approach. In doing so, what matters to telecommunication industry, the first one is basically always on the network performance. Number two is basically on the business efficiency. And number three is basically to enhance the customer experience by doing so. So we have been harnessing AI, and we do have multifaceted approach that we always endeavor. Number one is basically expanding on our fiber infrastructure. If you look at the slides behind me, sorry, Laurence, you can see here. Right, slide behind me shows that the complete ecosystem that Telecom Malaysia offers for the nationwide and worldwide connection. So if you do look at some of the orange boxes to your left, those were our AI-ready data center. We have 6 AI-ready data center. Out of the 6, we have 1 AI already data center. The one is basically in IPDC, Iskandar Putri. So just now, TM has just unveiled our new product. It was on GPU as a service. It was graced by YB Minister of Digital. So that is one of our few points of we pivot to the ecosystem of AI. So if you look around, telecommunication industry is basically we are not just doing it to our own industry, but we are offering the services to the rest of other verticals. Some examples that I may say is basically including the healthcare industry. We do have focus on public service industry right now. we have so many public ministries and agencies are yearning for AI solutions. And then we have like a smart city. We have been doing that for a number of cities. So if you look around, TM and the rest of the telecommunication industry is basically already on board with the AI ecosystem. We cannot be running away. This assures you that Malaysia on its own has a concrete footprint and complete ecosystem to support the artificial intelligence ecosystem that we're doing now. So amongst others, not just that, we have to know, oops, sorry, the Murphy's Law.
Laurence got windows at the back just now.
Yeah, that's what happens if you speak after the lunch. The numbers are increasing now, but the one I'm about to show is basically how sovereign principle of AI works. What sovereignty in artificial intelligence does not mean a digital isolation per se. What it does is basically the approaches that we take and undertake to introduce and embed strategic resilience of a local context in Malaysian context. So safety and security are paramount. We cannot be running away, and we have those ecosystem ready, and TM is offering, and the rest of the operators are now offering as well. So those are the things that I can stop upon right now, perhaps for the next question. Thank you.
All right, we move from JLC giant to the private sector. Azhar, how do you see Nervesis contributing to the growth of the AI economy in Malaysia?
Right. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we actually built AI that tailors AI assistance to a company. So AI assistance, as you are aware, is like ChatGPT. Okay, this AI is some sort where you can interact with, you can exchange ideas, you can actually comment, and you can get feedback and so on. Okay, so what we're doing is how do you actually push for the AI adoption? The first thing that we do is to make sure that they can get productivity gain. Okay, so let's say they can process 100 forms a day by one person. We show that by using AI, they can process about 1,000 forms every day. So that's actually one of the things that we focus on. The other thing is our AI, we actually are able to ingest any type of documents from the company. So by just uploading or just scrolling the documents, we are able to uncover insights, and we are able to train the AI to do certain tasks. So for example, in a bank, they are doing a lot of loan processing. So one of it use our AI to be trained to use their risk formula. So once they have that risk formula, they can ask AI to process the loan forms. So this kind of thing is something that we do to push for AI adoptions. The other thing is retain of organization knowledge or organization expertise. So the problem is when the expert leave, the knowledge leave with them. So this is where we use AI assistant technology to transfer the knowledge from the experts into the AI system itself. So when the experts leave, the knowledge is still there. And for the new guys that comes in, they have some kind of level to match. So they can actually ask questions, they can actually get their skill up and so on. So by all these three things, productivity gain, retaining of knowledge, uncover insights from existing data, we kind of push for them because we want to make sure that, there's one more thing, we're trying to work without in-house experts. So when we deliver to the client, we go as much as they don't have any IT knowledge at all. So AI is supposed to do that, to automate everything for you. This is how we actually push AI adoption into the market.
I like that because from there we see that we use AI as a tool and as a partner. So we're not outsourcing our thinking to AI, but we're using it to work faster and with more increased sort of productivity. Yep. I'd like to come back to Laurence. Before that, if anyone has any questions, we'll open up shortly. You can, I think there's some mics being circulated around. Then the panelists will be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
After lunch.
So Laurence, talk to me, as a global tech leader, how does Microsoft envision the ideal AI ecosystem in Malaysia? Are there elements or best practices that you look at to see how we can use AI as something that increases our productivity, makes life a lot easier and a lot better, and we can maybe have better work-life balance?
Yeah. So that's how you asked about building blocks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I kind of answered some part of it, about the 3 imperatives yesterday, just now. So I'm not going to go through that detail. Just kind of like reflecting on your question. Maybe we're going to touch on a couple of areas. How do we make AI successful in Malaysia? I think we have all the building blocks. Probably we'll go through a bit more detail on some of them as well. If I to look at the evolution of Gen AI, especially in the last 2 years, I mean, AI has been around for a while as well. I mean, the last 50 years, there's a whole AI discipline there, right? Started with machine analytics and so on and so on. But the last 2 years where Gen AI really take off and really push this whole AI into the mainstream conversation as well. And if you look at, we are literally still at year 2 of AI today. And a lot of the initial focus is on personal productivity because of the whole popularity of ChatGPT as well, right? 100 million users in the first 3 months. So I don't think we have seen any technology adopting as fast as well. Coming to year 2, you start to see a lot of people asking very critical questions, and I'm sure we'll get some of this from the audience too. What is the, beyond personal productivity, what else can AI do? Like, what is the enterprise or industrial use case as well? Like, how do we articulate the ROI given the, if you look at AI and the enormous carbon footprint, and the environmental impact and so on and so on. So there's a lot of this question. We all need to be self-critical as an industry players as well, and how we address it as well. And I think these are all fair questions as well. So increasingly for us, even at Microsoft, when we reach year 2, is really look at how do we now take the initial focus on personal productivity, but now really focus on how do we drive AI at scale as well, right? And how do we really make sure that it's beyond personal productivity, how do we drive industrial use case in medical science, healthcare, in transportation, in civil service, and so on as well, right? I think we start to see more use cases as well as it mature as well. The other area of the whole, to build the whole ecosystem is we need to make sure, we mentioned about AI fluency. I think one of the areas I think is important as we go into this whole AI ecosystem in Malaysia is that we have to make sure that we also have a very robust developer community as well that is really well versed in AI skill set as well, right? I think AI is a great unlock. It's a great equalizer because for once, every developers or community in Malaysia has access to the same advanced AIs as anyone else in the world as well. You are no longer limited by the company you work for or the country you are in, right? Everyone has access to the same advanced model as well, right? So what is stopping us from being that world-class, center of excellence for AI is really down to AI fluency as well, right? So that's why the whole intention to invest in 800,000 skilled workers by 2025, not in the next 5 years, but by 2025, is so critical because Malaysia has the opportunity to be not just a thought leader, but really at the leading edge of this whole AI revolution as well, right? And we need to seize it, yeah. So I think from Michael's perspective, we need to really invest in the ecosystem as well. We need to be able to articulate better the business use case and the business impact because all this come together as well. And we need to be a responsible citizen when it comes to the whole AI sustainability story as well, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Dr. Lau, because you're an AI expert and a data scientist. From what Laurence answered, we have all these great components to having a wonderful AI system in Malaysia. Would you consider, what would the components be for you? Are they about the same, or do you envision a bigger or a broader sort of critical items for us to bring it all together to have a proper AI system and ecosystem in Malaysia?
I think everybody knows the main ingredients that we need for any AI system is still the data. And there are a lot of data that, let's talk about SMEs again, right? It resides in their systems, and Laurence will have the numbers. We don't have that many companies that is actually on cloud. So those data is a very precious materials for them to build their own models and use that to help them to take it to their next steps. And the value that they are going to unlock once they utilize those data to build their models is not like 1 time or 2 times. It could be at least 5 to 10 times more, and the productivity, and yeah, it's beyond your imagination. So I think that's number 1, which I think is the key of Malaysia in the AI game. Now the second thing that I consider very essential for us is we envision and we position ourselves as the generative AI hub for the region, right? For Southeast Asia. And a lot of people, they actually don't understand this. Let's say US, they want to bring ChatGPT to Thailand. They need to do a lot of localization, and that is not an easy task. And even if they want to bring it to, let's say, Vietnam, they have to do the same thing. But when they come to Malaysia, we are so culturally well mixed that we do business, a lot of the business documents are actually in English, so a lot of the systems, we can just take it and use it, like Nervesis, like that. We have no problem analyzing the structure of an invoice. We have no problem understanding a contract or whatsoever, right? And we can just plug and play. So like Laurence just said, you want to be a world-class company, and the next moment, as soon as you adopt AI, you can become one. So that actually short-circuit a lot of the time that is going to be invested in collecting the data, cleaning up the data, and then from there, train your own language model from scratch. Of course, we do have Ilmu and Malam. Those are for specific use cases that targets towards dialects, for example. But on a general language model basis, we have no issue. And the third thing is that once we have those ready, we can always export all those applications, all those things that we have created, all the big data. Vertically, we can use it, like, for example, any fashion company, you have cracked the code of the LLMs for your industry, and that can be used, applied across most of them, most of the company. And let's say an agriculture company or another F&B company, they have solved the problems, and they know how to use that to do certain things, and that knowledge can be easily scaled across the country. So I think these are the 3 things that we are very fortunate, and we are in a good position to be ahead in becoming the leaders in the AI game.
Thank you. I mean, as I understand it, the 2 critical components to getting AI right is data and processing power.
Yeah.
So I think it's timely that the next person we talk to will be TM from all the infrastructure that you have. We saw the orange boxes. We saw how you've done it. From a GLC and a regulatory point of view, what are the key challenges you feel is in building the AI ecosystem in Malaysia? And how TM, as a telecommunications giant and the GLC, biggest GLC, I guess, for telecommunications, contribute to overcoming these challenges? Can we use the existing infra? Do we need new policies for the new infra that's coming up? How do you think we should talk about this?
All right. On the TM and regulatory standpoint, we always hinge upon what would be the most foundational thing of what AI does. So we all know when the advent of AI, it was meant to solve a problem. The trinity of element that has to accompany AI is always, number 1, it produces volume. Number 2, it helps expedient the speed. Number 3 is basically the one that is an issue and has been an issue, is the accountability and accuracy of the deliverables of the AI itself. So on that note, when the government per se, I may try to say, because I was on the other side before, most of the time when the new technology comes, regulatory issues and approaches always playing catching up. And the speed of how technology evolves makes the regulation to be lacking behind. So on this note, if you look upon some of the other issues that we just raised before, if you want to make regulatory formulations, we always rely upon, you were right, on data itself. Data has to be protected, and we do have a PDPA, and it just got amended this current session. So congratulations to Ministry of Digital and JPDP having amended that for more than a decade. So that is the thing that we have to accommodate to the changes of the technology, number one. Number two is basically we have an ethical considerations. What I'm saying about ethical considerations, it is about a customized local context. Ethics in one geographical area might be different in one geographical area. That alone emphasizes the importance of having sovereign AI and perhaps a local LLM to cater for that. If I may give an example, if you ask your best confidant right now is basically some other ChatGPT or Copilot. If you ask in a local language, perhaps in Indonesia, if you ask, adakah ini gampang? If you ask that question to a Perakian here, they would mean different things. Any Perakian here? Ada orang Perak? Ada orang Perak. Kan lain maksudnya kan? That means different thing. That is the reason that we need customizations. We need some sovereignty of our own artificial intelligence ecosystem. We have to be very mindful. We always focus on the first part of the terms, which is adjective. It is artificial. The one that matters more is basically the noun itself, intelligence. That intelligence must come with an accountability. So the third point of regulatory standpoint, if we were to formulate a very comprehensive framework, it has to come to the point of transparency and accountability. In this note, I do foresee certain encumbrances. If we take a simple solutions in different countries and try to replicate it here, it does need customization. That's the reason everyone in the local ecosystem has to play the role. Some might say Malaysia just have about near 30-odd million populations, that it does not merit to have our own local AI and local language. Some countries that have hundreds of millions might pose a greater opportunities, but look on the other side. Having a sizable number could mean we are a good test bed. Nothing is perfect on the get-go. We have to know that this is an ongoing solution. My colleagues here would be answering that the ultimate tool that we are offering is basically is just a tool. It really depends on the humanity aspect of people who use it. And that has to come with accountability. If the accountability does not come, so everyone will be abusing whatever tools they are preparing. So those are on a regulatory standpoint. So how do we overcome and help? Telecom Malaysia and all the operators, we do have quite a frequent dialogue with our regulator. And now I believe with the inception and the formation of National AI Office, this is something that I can be lauded, because not every country has that. Are we the first one to do so? Not really, right? But we were among the first ones. So being the first might not be the right thing, but being the first and having a right set and conscious mind to do it, that is more important. So I believe Malaysia is on the right track. All the companies, JLCs or non-JLCs alike, are upholding the very principle of how Malaysian economy would want to have and to get the aspiration of how our Malaysia would work. So thank you.
Thank you. I think no pressure to Encik Sam Majid, but there's a lot on his plate as well. So he is in charge of thinking of what's next. And the National AI Office really is something that is in charge of seeing what's next and how we can deliver it and what else can be done. Right? Moving back to our final speaker, Encik Azhar. As Nervesis specializes in AI solutions. What ecosystem do you need? What kind of support do you need from the government, from your peers, from giant multinationals or GLCs? How can we bring the AI solutions in Malaysia even higher?
All right, thank you. You know, last 20 years, I did have a patent that built something for NATO submarines. No, 25 years ago. And I was in the founding team that built Siri. Then when I came back to Malaysia, I feel I don't build anything, to tell you the truth. But what happens, most of the time, people either don't understand me or they think I'm ahead of time, right? So actually, after a few years, then you start thinking, what can be the problems? Actually, this is one thing I would like to say to all the techies out there. Since I'm very technical, I'm very techie. Okay, try to build a product, not a software. Okay, most of us actually build software, not building product. The idea of a product is you have to build something that people want to pay. Okay, but this is the thing about techie. They get excited with technical problems. They're not really excited with the real problems, to tell you the truth, right? By the time you hear news about Willow, you go and read nights and nights and how you want to use it. But when you talk about, hey, someone actually died because of this, they might, okay, fine, it's not a big deal. Okay, so just to all entrepreneurs out there, that's the first message I want to say. Okay, build a product, not a software. Okay, so this comes to my second realization. Okay, all this partnership is good. Okay, but one thing that is missing is the innovation culture. Okay, Prof. Sanjay was talking about it. Shama Sanjay was talking about it. No, forget about all these robotic skills. Okay, because one day AI is just going to take it, and so this idea of skills may have to change. Actually, we were pushing skills before. We look at a degree and we say, no, degree is not enough. You have to have skills. Now your skills can be replicated by AI. Something's got to change. That was the message in the keynote speaker this morning. Okay, so the thing is, this is what I noticed. I also consult advice for certain universities, and what makes me sad is they getting problem statement just by reading academic papers. Okay, we need to go to the ground and actually gather all the problems out there. I call it problem vault. Okay, but we don't have to solve it. Okay, the thing is about our culture, we don't like to talk about problems because we want to appear good, but there is always problem out there. So entrepreneurs like us, we spend a lot of time trying to gather the right problems. And sometimes even we get the right problems, we still cannot solve it because we have to go around the circle and so on. Of course, you are an entrepreneur, you are supposed not to complain, but one time to say, let's try to reduce the friction. Because if you think about it, there's always a cycle. In year 2000, we talk a lot about becoming the software superpower. Okay, but what happens? Things doesn't really what we expected, and I can see a lot of things comes from the culture. Okay, the culture of trying to actually build something new, trying to break things. So if you're running a small company, you will be surprised how many experiments that we do to break the market. Okay, we've done 20 times of experiment just to build the right product, and we lost so much money. And then when we have the right product, you want to break the market, we do another experiment again. So many experiments. Okay, but the problem is if experiment is stifled, let's say we have a sandbox, national sandbox, which is good. Okay, but we need to encourage more experiments, and we have to go around. Have to go around. So that this experiment won't kill you, but at the same time, make people more innovative. Okay? So this is something that I would like to share, beside all the points. Those are valid points. The tools, the software, the network, and so on. The other things that I notice is, this is just around my circle. I notice a lot of people just consume technology. Okay, I don't see a lot of guys actually working at the mathematical level. At one way or another, we're going to break actually, because we don't have enough guys to actually look at the mathematics behind it. Let me tell you that we work with 70 billion parameters to come up with our private LLM. And we know that it costs us a lot. In terms of ROI, it's very hard to justify. So there is a lot of move to go to 32B and 8 billion and so on. Okay? But in order for you to break those, you cannot use deep learning attention model anymore. You cannot use what is in the market. You have to break the mindset. And this is something that is very important actually, because yeah, I mean, to have that, I'm not saying about a big commodity, but we need some kind of volume to do all this kind of thinking. And everything starts from what I call just now, problems to solve. Okay? We have this issue where we apply grants, we do this initiative, but at the end of the day, we don't know what problem we solve. You know, because we get excited by building it, but nothing is happening. So we have to get out of this mentality actually. But the problem is, in order for you to do experiment, to be innovative, there is a cultural break. Okay? Let me share you one other things. You know, data sharing is good, isn't it? But what I found out, people don't want to share data because, let's say you're having 2 hospitals, okay? And then what happens, in order to compare the performance, or then you have to have the data, see? And then you start asking, hey, why is this hospital doing this? So there is a drive not to share data, okay? Then you have to come from the top and so on. So I see some innovation. This is happening in Sweden or so you can share data without knowing who is doing it and so on, but you still can get some kind of statistic and so on. Okay, this type of solution, I mean, it amazed me because they work in, I think they work in the insurance area where sharing data is a big issue. Okay, so we got to think about all this problem because the data sharing issue is not because of technical, it's because of vested interest. Yeah. So these are the things that I think we got to build on top of it. Besides, I mean, this is a soft part of it, but I think this is very important to have all those actually embedded in our society. And doing it is very hard. I mean, it's much easier just to buy things, show we have stuff and so on, but by the time you want to change it and you're talking about certain things that you have to give up, that's going to be quite hard for us to move forward. So,
thank you. That was very passionate. Okay, we have about 8 minutes left before 3 o'clock. Are there any questions from the floor that I can take? Yes, gentleman on the side.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Darren. I'm a leader in the Boys Brigade. It's a youth organization. So nothing to do about tech. But my question is, when we talk about AI in the context of the economy, it's always about, there's an underlying commercial flair to it, like value creation, ROI. So my question is, will the adoption of AI still be affordable for the common man? Thank you.
Anyone from maybe GLC that sells its products? The product itself. Microsoft?
If I to rephrase your question, is that over time will the AI innovation will be more affordable, right? Become mainstream. So get that, yeah. The answer is yes. I think if you look at all technology innovations, you know, even you go back all the way to the Industrial Revolution and the steam engine, the first car, the first computer, you know, and now the GPU, right? They all always start, you know, at a high cost as well. And you move to start to deployment at scale, then you start to have economy of scale, and the cost will come down as well, because once you drive more efficiency as well. So I do believe that models remain the same for AI adoptions as well, right? But the initial investment and the OPEX and CAPEX is going to be significant as well, right? Especially for the early adopters as well. If you want to be an early adopter, you want to be an early mover, you know, that comes with a significant advantage, but it also comes with a significant cost upfront as well, right? So the question then is that, why do you want to be a first mover? Right. Well, if again go back to history, and I'm someone who loves history. If you look at country that if you look at a light bulb that was invented maybe slightly over a century ago, right? But it's a economy or country that invested in the whole power distribution. Whether it's a DC distribution or AC distribution across, build the initial power grid, right? Those countries reach the benefits, the economic impacts very significantly, right? Versus countries that are much later in their investment as well, right? I think the same with AI as well. The company, or in this case, the country that invests early, willing to attract investment, but at the same time invest early in the capex, it's going to reap the benefits significantly as well, right? Will the cost come down over time? Absolutely as well. I think history has proved that time and time over again with technology as well, right? And in fact, we already start to see that as well. If you just compare to 2 years ago, right, look at all the different models, they're already showing you that it's a lot more sophisticated, but it's also a lot, in terms of the outcome, you can see that the cost of compute is coming down significantly as well, yeah. Anyone else?
I hope that goes. It is basically economics of scale, right? The first cars were really expensive, and then the first computers were really expensive, the mobile phones were really expensive. Now, I'm not saying it's affordable, but the costs have gone down substantially.
Correct,
so, the gentleman in front.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Andrew. I'm from the Malaysia Semiconductor Industry Association. I've been challenged by the MITI specifically to try to get the E&E industry and the semicon industry to have more linkages with other sectors of the economy. And in the AI space, I've been challenged and I'm asking the panel, where do you see AI and semiconductor? How can we link up and have more spillover and cross-collaboration between AI and semiconductor? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone?
The hardcore tech guy.
Yeah. Hello? Okay. I might ask this from the software point of view, right? Because we build private models, okay? Right now, I have to say I'm using NVIDIA, okay? I would love to try anything else, actually. So that gives some options or opportunities itself, because I'm pretty sure AMD and even some company in China, they haven't come up with a good model yet. There's one company, Yi model is actually coming up, but the reason why they cannot come out is because there is some kind of restriction to buy high-end GPUs from the US. So they are left with low-end GPUs in China. So what I'm saying is there is an opportunity on that side, because if you're looking at these AMDs and others AMDs, I'm pretty sure they want to compete with NVIDIA. So how do you actually become part of their team to actually build components for AMD? That's actually the business opportunity you're looking at. There's another thing also what we call embedding AI. Means in the future, the AI will not be out there, it's going to be in your pocket. Okay, not the big one. If you see technology cycle, okay, it starts with client server, and then goes to peer-to-peer, and then go to, So the same thing is happening. Right now it's a bit more client server, means the server is processing all these loads for the model. In the future, it's going to be peer-to-peer. Means the mobile itself can. So how do you actually anticipate that? And how do you actually align to the player with that? So you got to be able to see in the future. If you're waiting right now, it's going to be very, because I know in E&E industry, you got to predict something. If you're right, you're going to be very right. But if you wait, then that's it. There's no space for you. So I hope I answered that question.
I think I can add on something is the edge computing that Azhar just mentioned, right? Is that it happens both ways. So while the computing power is getting better and smaller, at the same time, we are trying our best to reduce the size of the model as well. So we will delegate a lot of computations to all your devices, and just look out on edge computing. I think that should be your answer.
I just want to add on that. On the public side, MDEC is opening up an office in Penang and in Johor. So we are working closely with other ministries and other government agencies to see where government can play a role in this. there are linkages and complementarities that we would have, and if you need something, I'd be delighted to see how we can explore this further. I was in Penang over the weekend for the launch of the design at 5 kilometer plus. I think that's a very, very good initiative, and how we can drive this is something which I would want to see how the ecosystem can assist. Also, with NIO, again, they will be driving a lot of the policies, and MDEC will be supporting on the ecosystem. Thank you. Is there maybe one last question? Okay, the gentleman behind the cameraman. No, over there.
Just behind the cameraman. Yeah.
Yes. Hi, my name is Carol. So I just want to build on top of the cost efficiency that was mentioned earlier, right? So my question would be is that when all these models becomes more efficient, there will be more demand to use this technology and tools widespread lah. So then how can we have a sustainable demand of natural resources usage to accommodate this demand?
Thank you, Carol.
Okay, that was a good question. We planned for something innovation and sustainability, but probably we didn't have time. Let me indulge them 2 or 3 minutes for that. Yeah. About the industry collaboration, yes, it is pervasive. It should cut across multiple industries to work. Semiconductors, telecommunications, and all other industries should be there, including manufacturing, number one. Number two, on your point, there will be time, naturally, price erosion will happen. But at what price, right? I think people would be the naysayers of AI or the naysayers of sustainability always say that these two are oxymoronic. You're saying one thing, you're doing another thing. I think you have seen a picture where one big factory that produces a lot of carbon footprint, but they are producing EV inside. So there are always things that paradoxical for us to show where do we balance it, right? We do need to have a certain multiplication of power for us to power up the requests, the queries, the prompts, that eventually it will have an adverse effect to environment, so-called. However, the balancing act has to find the right fulcrum. Where do we balance those? If you look upon our data centers, all our data centers are LEED certified, right? If we have to start from within, from the get-go, we have to be sustainable. Another analogy that I have to use is basically how do we be sustainable? In other words, it is innovation. Because when the price becomes no longer the parameters of choice, innovations of solution, that is the answer. So apart from our IPDC that has LEED certifications, there are other things that we need and we have to work with policymakers as well. I guess a couple of days ago, the Prime Minister just discussed about the National Investment Council. I think you were there. That we had to find the right balance of how do we incentivize and how do we keep our environmental principle intact. So bear in mind, this wouldn't be the end of this polemic. And some of the things is basically having the right balance and find the right fulcrum for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Laurence?
That's a great question. Even as we see AI users are growing exponentially, right? I think every company in this space need to have a responsible goal in terms of the carbon footprint. And in Microsoft, we have an aggressive plan by 2030, we'll be carbon neutral. And we have another goal that by 2050, we're going to claw back all the carbon emissions since our foundation of the company 50 years ago as well, right? And you may wonder how this goal is going to be achieved, especially now with the AI usage that is growing rapidly as well, but that continue to be our commitment as well, right? I think when we talk about responsible AI, this is one piece that I think it's very important that we hold each other accountable as well, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I think with that, I will wrap it up. I just want to say a few things. Really, we were talking about sustainability on the AI economy. My first question when I saw this was like, well, my first impression was like, this cannot only be about the environment. This is sustainability on solutions, sustainability on talent development, sustainability on how we work with the environment and our partners. And this is something which should be an ongoing conversation. A lot of it is mainly driven by the private sector, but the public sector also has a role to play. So partners, be it GLCs, be it multinationals, be it SMEs, be it associations, would have a role to play in this conversation. And as Azhar said earlier, we are trying to solve problems. We cannot just build products. What do we do here? How do we solve this? 10 years ago, this would not have been a conversation on the table at all. 15 years ago, I don't think anyone was imagining a driverless cars except in possibly Matrix or Jetsons or something. So I'd like to thank everyone to join me in thanking my fellow panelists, and I hope the conversation keeps going. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us here.
All right, so thank you to fellow speakers for that very interesting session. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are ready for the next one.